Hey, and welcome to the Vergecast for the week of February 18th, 2013. I'm Josh Topolsky.
I'm Nilay Patel. Yeah. Ross,
And
are you anyone?
Ross is not with us. We just have a frozen Ross Miller. Ross Miller would have been with us today, but he died tragically 5 minutes ago.
He died in a terrible bandwidth incident.
He died. His bandwidth died. As a human, he's fine. Anyhow, this is the Vergecast. We're doing a hangout because this week has been insane and we're all incredibly busy. And here's Ross is joining us now.
Ross is back.
He claims to be back.
Yeah.
You know, didn't Ross get a new apartment recently?
Oh, I'm actually no. First, I have not. Number two, I'm in South Georgia right now.
Oh, that would explain why your bandwidth is so terrible. The South.
Yes.
I apologize to all of our Southern listeners or viewers for where you live. I'm so
Obviously,
sorry.
I can't stream either, so
I'm so
it's okay.
sorry.
They're not hearing it.
Can you? Oh, we're not on yet?
No, as in like we're in the South. We obviously.
Oh,
have
they
no
can't
bandwidth to
stream it, right? Yeah, I get it.
I have
Okay.
no idea what's going on.
Great. So anyway, this is the Vergecast where we discuss the week in technology culture, and what a week, by the way, it's been in technology culture.
Seriously.
Really pretty monumental, and by the way, not over yet. In fact, I'm working on a story right now for tomorrow, which I'm not going to talk about in detail, but I will say that it is a very special story that you won't find anywhere else, and I'm very excited about it. It's about giving birth.
Yeah. You're going to tweet a C-section like they did today.
I'm going to tweet live. I'm going to find a C-section.
Oh, God. That's
It's going to
awful.
be 18 hours of 6-second installment. 18 hours of 6. I mean, that would be something like. Why don't we? Where is the feature length film done in 6-second installments? I mean,
Can we storify a Vine? And
I know
just-
Adam Goldberg is doing these little bits, but I'm saying like let's actually film the scenes as you would in an entire film, but just let them out. Distribute them in 6-second chunks.
Yeah.
Anyhow, this is not what we're here to talk about. All right, Ross, what are the topics of the day? You're the list holder here. What do we have to discuss?
Well, we will have a special guest later to talk about some of the big events of today.
You're boring everybody.
Apparently, PlayStation 4. Let's talk about last night's
The PS4. Okay, you guys did a live thing afterwards, which I really enjoyed. And by the way, you and Chris Grant look so sharp.
Yeah.
We had an
beautiful.
issue. We both had green dress shirts on. We were very worried about that. Green plaid was the thing last night.
Green
No,
plaid.
Green plaid.
Let's talk about PS4. So
You were there.
I was there. That was cool. I went with David Pierce, and Polygon was there. It was a party. I have to say, really mismanaged, chaotic event, right? So
That's weird.
I think they realized
That never happens.
it's very strange for Sony in New York to throw something together that felt that just chaotic. So there were literally journalists lining up for hours outside in the cold. They had bouncers who I didn't think realized it wasn't a concert. It was at a concert venue. So bouncers were shoving people you can't come in yet. And we're we're professionals.
Where was it?
It was at
Hammerstein Ballroom.
the Hammerstein Ballroom. It was
really?
right above where we do On the Verge. Yeah.
It was at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was very
Weird.
strange.
Yeah.
And we were, people were outside and it was chaos. And we're like, how is it this venue can have concerts at it that are well run all the time with hundreds of people going in and Sony can't figure it out. Anyway, so they started, and it was very obvious immediately that they were trying to get a jump on Microsoft ahead of E3 because Microsoft is obviously going to show a new Xbox this year. Sony is behind in the race a little bit in terms of mind share.
But E3 is even a ways off. I feel like they're compelled by something that they know is
Well,
coming
the
sooner.
rumors are that Microsoft is going to announce something.
Right. That's the kind of I feel like there's this floating idea right now that everybody seems to be sort of winking and nudging about that nobody really has confirmed yet or can get a good confirmation of, that Microsoft is inevitably going to do something before E3 about a new console.
right.
And I think the sense is that Microsoft is also more ready, right? That their console will be finished in some way ahead of Sony.
But there's also the other thing, though, so we got to remember, too. And if we want to figure out who the audience was for this, they talked a lot about architecture. It feels like a developer-focused kind of event.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Next month is the Game Developers Conference, where they really have to hype people into, building this platform.
Making games. So that was the weird thing. So they, if you saw the coverage last night, I'm sure you did. They went on for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
God, it was long.
It felt like it was never going to end.
I mean, it was so long that I just at one point just started checking email and stuff, and then went back, and they were still talking about like just.
So they opened with, like Ross was saying, they opened with the architecture. It's a souped up PC. They're going to use an x86 processor combined.
And this is a big change.
GPU.
This is a big change for them. I mean, they were making basically custom guts before this, and now they've gone completely in the opposite direction, and they're basically saying we're taking off the shelf stuff. We're going to have I think they're still going to do a custom GPU, right? Is that right?
I mean, it's going to be custom-ish, right? I mean, they're going to go to AMD, and AMD is going to make them. They're going to take a bunch of AMD parts and make something custom.
I will say this about it, and there's been a lot of talk about that. Let's just pause there for a second.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of talk about that. I actually feel like this is kind of a positive for the industry, where if I'm a developer, and even maybe this is an upgradable. I don't know if the system. Maybe you can swap out a graphics card in the future. Swap out a GPU. Because they could do that in this situation, and I think it's kind of amazing that I don't have to. If I'm a developer, I don't have to think like I'm going to code for Xbox, PC, and Sony. Now it's like I'm just going to x86 is where I'm headed. Essentially, there are obviously major issues. You've got to still port stuff, but it sounded to me like one of their goals here is making the port a much easier process. So to me, it's kind of like. Opens the floodgates for what developers can do in terms of designing these titles and trying to get great looking and great playing stuff on every platform.
Right. So I think that's true.
Except for Nintendo.
The PS3 was a pretty notoriously difficult platform to develop for, because it was so custom. So they brought out Mark Cerny, who's our head of like system architecture, and he's famous. All the Polygon guys were really excited about it. He was there. And he spent a lot of time talking about how they don't need to do the cell processor with like blast rendering or whatever the hell it does, and how they can use these commodity parts to make a better experience. But like at that moment, Sony had immediately lost the plot, right? Because they were already into the guts of developer stuff with this presentation. They were very far away from how will the PS4 be awesome for you, the gamer.
Right.
And then they tried to get back there, but they didn't ever do it. They showed off a bunch of like in-game stuff, some of which we've seen. So they showed Watch Dogs, but we saw that at E3.
Yeah.
They showed, I think there was they showed another trailer, and somebody from our staff like IM'd me to be like, just so you know, this trailer is a year old. For this.
I think it was the NX. It was the Square Enix one, right?
Yeah, the Square Enix one, and that one actually looked, and that game looked the worst. So they started off at this high point of like, look at how amazing we can do with all these new tools and this developer stuff, and then when they started bringing out the games, the graphics actually, in my opinion, got progressively worse.
Yeah,
as the stuff got older and older.
I agree. I think there was this kind of cheerleading about developers, and that this is going to be an easy platform for you to work on. It's going to be really powerful. We have the power of the cloud. So I actually think just if we just back up for a sec, what they announced was, and I think you were kind of getting into this, but let's do the high level stuff, right? They announced that a new console's coming. It's going to be called the PlayStation 4, or the PS4. It's going to have a completely redesigned UI. It's going to be very powerful, based on an x86 architecture. There are a number of cloud-based advances that they're making that I think are kind of fascinating. One of them is games that you can play while you're downloading them. So my understanding is basically they're taking the Gaikai technology, which they bought, which is streaming technology, game streaming technology, and they're saying like, we're basically going to stream this thing while you download in the background. I mean, that's my impression. They also said that you could, it's try before you buy, which is Gaikai again, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like, when you wanted to try something before, you're still downloading like a multi-gig demo.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of impulse purchase. I mean, I know for me, like I think it'll cut both ways, right? But then they also said that the Vita, you'll be able to play PS4 games on your Vita, which is
right.
Just kind of in a way is like, why even bother introducing a console? Why not just update the software on the PS3? If the Vita can play the games,
right? Well, no, I think it's the Vita streaming the game. I mean, it's just
obviously, I'm saying it's streaming them, but you could conceivably do the same thing on a PS3 with a new controller. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So anyhow, but I mean, that was very interesting. So the cloud was a big part. They mentioned social networks. They basically said you're going to use Facebook or Twitter or whatever to be your the way you connect with. I mean, they intimated that they would be moving away from this siloed, we're managing a social network, more into we're using Facebook to connect.
Facebook and Ustream are their two big social network partners.
Yeah, and they're doing stuff with like being able to stream your games to friends and
right. So the controller has a share button on it.
Yeah.
So they actually want you, as you're playing with a controller in your hand, to push the button that says share, and either I think it's always recording the last 15 minutes of what you do, so you can always just like send that out.
And that bumps it out to Ustream. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
So that's actually really cool. I mean, they showed this weird game that using the Move controller that was kind of like you playing with puppets.
So that's not a game.
A molecule.
That's
whatever.
That's a tech demo.
Whatever it is, I mean, it probably will develop into something that is some type of game.
Probably. It's the guys who do Little Big Planet, so it's pretty close to like what they always do.
And I think that what's interesting about that is they were kind of putting on this performance, and I think you can see some really cool stuff that could happen in the future when you've got all of this power, all this processing power and live processing power, and you're able to do something like put on a performance like that using avatars and stream it live. I mean, I think there's a whole new world of weird, crazy shit that they're going to get into with that, which I really love. And so anyhow, and then they announced a bunch of titles for the PS4, and they showed gameplay from what these titles, they showed some early gameplay. They showed live gameplay there.
No, they only showed live gameplay twice.
They showed kills for Killzone.
Yeah,
and Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs.
Yeah,
I think more than twice. Then are you sure?
Those just
okay. Well, at any rate, Killzone and Watch Dogs, two of the most graphically intense games that I've ever seen. You were there. Now I was watching on the live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any lag during those games?
When they switched, so that these demos are highly produced. So what we saw as gameplay was like bracketed by big full motion video sequences.
But they weren't. But those were not pre-rendered. Those were in game.
It's hard to know. So
I think that's what they were saying. That was my takeaway.
The lag. There was one moment of like very distinct lag. I think it was during Killzone when it switched from video to the guy actually controlling with a controller.
Okay.
And there was like a stutter that I think everybody in the theater noticed, but might not have been apparent on the live stream.
It wasn't like a continuous thing. It was just like a glitch kind of lag.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look. It all looked great. I think. What I took away from these games was they all look amazing, right? Particularly, I think Killzone. When there was a sequence where after an explosion where there's like dust in the air, and they had this like incredible depth of field and all this refraction, and like that's clearly no console can do that now. Then there were other parts where it was like this looks like a slightly more clear PS3 or a slightly more clear Xbox, and then there were other parts where I was like this just looks like an Xbox or PS3. But what got to me was all of the games are the same. So like the physics and the motion and the stuff that you're doing still looks like a video game.
Right.
So some of it was beautiful and intense. Some of it looked real. Some of it looked a little bit better. Some of it looked the same.
Yeah.
But all of it looked like video games to me.
And I think it's all the same genres we've seen before. It's the shooters, it's the racing.
Well, I mean, I think, and I'm going to get to that, but I think that there's going to be a couple of years here where we're
answer this question for me. They have a new controller. They didn't show the console, right? They didn't show us the PS4.
Well, as I was going to say, there's a big point.
They showed us the controller, right? And what are the big features of the controller? It has this light bar on the front that connect like depth camera sees, so you can like move that around, I guess. It has a share button and it has a touch pad on it. Mm-hmm. None of those games used any of those features. Like,
right. Well,
I think one of the games we saw used the features of this new controller. I think beyond the share button. Which I think that's great, but
I'm not sure about that actually.
I think
which game used any of the features?
They definitely showed the touchscreen being used for.
No, they showed it once. They showed it once, right at the very beginning when they were introing the controller. I don't remember who it was. He was holding it like this, and he took his hand off and looked around using the touchpad, and then
was The Witness?
Went back to this. I think it was The Witness.
Which was an iOS game.
The Witness. That's a puzzle game. I think it was Killzone. I think it was that one as well. But he was literally he took his hand off. He looked around using the touchpad, and then he went back to standard controller configuration. Either way, even if they had been using it all the time, it was so subtle and so not important to what was happening. The focus was look at these beautiful graphics in these games that we know are going to be popular, not we've built a new controller and here's how we're going to use it.
Right. They weren't showing whereas like Microsoft's last, big announcements have been around, look at this incredible, innovative gameplay. The Wii U was all based around, look at this incredible, innovative gameplay. This was like, look at these amazing graphics, and yeah, we got this innovative gameplay stuff too that we'll show you later on. But it was like, check out how awesome our graphics are. And I think that is a testament to, somewhat the history of gaming now that they're kind of working against. And I think this, to your point, Neil, about how everything kind of looked like a video game. You're working against, years and years of this like ingrained, like, here's what the motion looks like, here's what here's how characters interact. And so I did think, like, the Killzone demo, when it got into the actual gameplay, I thought there were moments when it was just wow moments where it just felt like the amount of texture, the amount of like atmosphere that was happening was just kind of overwhelming, and I was really impressed by it. And I think, if you look at I played this is actually really good to talk about for me. I played Dead Space. I just finished the first Dead Space a few weeks ago, which was released in 2008, I believe, which is still like a later generation Xbox game. And I'm now playing Dead Space 3, and the difference between those games in terms of graphics is like kind of blows my mind. It's kind of like I can't even understand how they've been able to pull out like what they've done in the newest one versus like what we thought they were doing at the forefront of technology in 2008. So I feel like there's going to be a learning curve where people have to understand what this hardware can do. That always happens. But I think what's most striking about the announcement last night is, and what I was struck by at E3 this year, and what I'm constantly kind of like blown away by, is the incredible lack of imagination that game developers seem to have when it comes to what their games are going to be about. Like, no matter what it is, the David Cage game, the Beyond Two Souls, Killzone, obviously, what was the
Drive
other? Oh, Watch Dogs. A Drive Club is a driving game. Driving games are driving games.
There's Infamous, and there's what? I mean, it was like
Infamous, right? It's all like, here's what's going to happen. Okay, you're going to be somewhere. You can shoot something out of your hand, or you can shoot something out of a gun, and it's going to be in that bullet or that beam of energy is going into somebody's head. That's just going to happen. That's the way the game is. And like, what's so weird to me is even like Beyond Two Souls, it's the premise of the game seems like the setup, and it's like, but it feels like the setup could allow for all kinds of really amazing different things to happen, and maybe it will. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, here's the hook. You're going to shoot people and kill people and like blow stuff up, but this time it's a girl, or like this time it's like a little girl. It's like this. It's like this Capcom game, Remember Me, where it's like, you're in futuristic Neo-Paris, you've got to take down the government, but this time you're a female. And I just feel like there are so many things you could do in a game. We haven't even. Has anybody ever tried to do anything different in a game? Okay, it's either like shooting, or it's like the Braid stuff, where it's just like this whimsical, magical, weird, like childish.
And that's what
stuff.
The Witness was, right? The Witness, and it looks great. It looks really cool, but it was. Yeah. It's like, this is the best update to Myst that has ever existed. Right. It's
like, why not show me a game with the visual complexity and the world of Watch Dogs, where, I'm a EMT or something, and I'm like literally doing surgery on people at crime scenes or something, like where I'm like driving around. Like, give me I'm just like, whatever. Give me a game where you do other things besides shoot people.
And then, and what's funny is that then the disconnect between the plots of these games and the system that they're running on. So Sony is like, they're deep into social, they're deep into, obviously online distribution is going to be big for the PS4. So they were going on and on about how, there's a camera sitting there, it's like watching you, it's like watching your controller. So that's weird. It monitors your activities and what you like and what you're buying and what your friends are like and what you're playing with your friends. So so it pre-downloads games that it thinks you might want to buy, so that when you impulse buy, the games are already there waiting for you. So it's like learning about you. It's like
consumer paradise.
It's manifesting this consumerist notion of like how you will behave.
No, it's like
all the games are like, in a world where everything is a camera.
Yeah, no.
Are you aware of where this is happening?
I love the new theme. I love the new theme of games now. They're like, oh, we've been noticing this privacy stuff happening. We've been noticing this surveillance stuff. Like, the best one was the game. What was the game? It was Infamous 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
the guy comes
you're
out
being watched all the time, but And it's like all this setup, like, wow, this is real drones, and this is serious, heavy political stuff. I'm like, okay, this is political intrigue. This is, talking about humanity, like where are we headed? And he's like, but what if humans began to mutate with superhuman powers? And it's like, no, dude, what if we actually like, I don't know. I'm not saying like you're going to play a game where you're the president or whatever. Though I have to say, if you created a game with the visual complexity and the complexity in terms of the world of something like Watch Dogs, and I had to play as the president, actually doing presidential stuff, like that would be kind of a cool game. Like I would be into that.
Where you have to take a briefing every morning.
Yeah, take a briefing, make decisions about diplomacy, but like actually walk like to the the West Wing and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
all right, well, I'm gonna say you actually walk into the West Wing each time, just 5 minutes.
And then people start talking to you as you're walking around.
Real quick, let's let Dieter get in and start talking too, because Dieter's very patiently waiting for us to.
Dieter, can't hear you.
Unmute
no audio. Got to unmute yourself, dude.
I'm such a noob.
Yeah, totally. All right, dude, Dieter. All right, everybody shut up. Dieter, where is it? Get it up. Get it up right now.
You have one?
They've got 2.
Chrome Pixel, dude.
I'm going to San Francisco. I'm on.
Chrome Pixel, here it is. Wait, get Dieter. Dieter, open it up. Open and touch the
this
Pixel.
Is awesome.
Show us the money.
Oh, yeah.
Show us that 3:2 screen that looks
Look
like
at
an
this.
HP Elite book.
I love it.
God.
I love it. Look, he's touching something. Look at this. Touching.
Playing Angry Birds, man.
Angry Birds with ads.
Touching is good.
Look at this. This is the future.
I think, Dieter, you have to talk so you're on the main one.
Right. Okay. So playing Angry Birds. It's
People can select Nila. You don't know you can do that?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
possible.
for the
Click on the
YouTube
So
one later.
here's the thing, like the hardware, it looks really good. I mean, it's incredibly like square. It's the same thickness all the way through from front to back.
Square. Square is in. Square's making a comeback.
It's this gunmetal finish. It's a chiclet keyboard, and then the touchscreen.
Backlit keyboard?
Backlit keyboard. Oh yeah. The touchscreen. I mean, it's what is it? 2560 by 1700. I think is the resolution on it.
Dieter, does it do this? Does it have the new notification? I haven't read all the stuff you've written on. Does it have this new notification thing that we saw? This notification pop up in Chrome OS?
It is not, and I think we're just waiting for like a update on it on the build. But
this is like the Chrome
showing that
OS.
to me.
This is the Chrome OS I have on my Chromebook right now.
Yeah. But
Okay,
I think the update's coming very soon.
So can you tell me? Look at all these. Look at all the hands you're putting on.
So it's So the touchsooning, like they're
Look at
doing
how
something
bad that
weird.
is.
Yeah, they're doing something weird with the inertia on it, but it's terrible for chunky. And it was the same way when they were demoing the photos live on stage. But check this out: when I go to the touchpad and do it, it's totally awesome and fast and fine.
That doesn't make any sense. What is the CPU in that?
So it's an Intel Core i5. I don't know the clock speed, and it's got I think 32. It's got 32 gigs of storage. I don't know the RAM.
Let's discuss the most important spec, Dieter. How much does that thing cost?
So this is the Verizon LTE version, and so it costs $1,449.
All right, so
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And then the Wi-Fi only version is $1,300.
I want to talk about. I want to do real talk here for a second, okay? Real talk. Why? Who is the person?
Yeah.
Who is the person? Now, look, by the way, I want one. Don't get me wrong. But I have like a stack of things that I wanted sitting to my right, that I regret buying. Who is the person, like this Vectrex, who is the person who's going to spend $1,300 on
Eric Schmidt. Other people who work
Eric Schmidt
at Sundar Pichai. Yeah, Google people. Rich people.
Yeah, but you don't put shit on a production line because Eric Schmidt wants a 13.
Hang on, dude. They did that's my personal conspiracy theory about the Nexus line on Android is they needed to make a high-end phone for their own employees to use to develop Android on, and they need to make like 10,000 of them.
So
they
seems
figured,
like a developer's nightmare.
What the hell? Let's just make 100,000. And
but
I feel like it's the same thing with this.
A Chromebook Pixel to me sounds like a developer's nightmare. No developer uses a Chromebook, right? I mean, how could that possibly be? What?
Web developers? I mean,
Chromebook developers.
Yeah, exactly.
Chrome OS developers are using Chromebooks. I just feel like it's kind of a crazy. Like I don't understand it. The touchscreen. Is there anything special about the touchscreen, like new functionality? Is there any?
It's a touchscreen. They got to wait for developers to support it. You can't pinch to zoom on the web pages.
Come on!
I don't understand.
What?
Is there
I
any
don't know,
multi-touch
man.
at all?
This, you know
Like,
what this thing.
I'm
to
sure
me
that there is somewhere that there's multi-touch in like some Photos app or something that I haven't found yet.
No, this thing is like, it's a big middle finger from Eric Schmidt and Google to Microsoft. And they can just turn around and crank out a laptop that's highly spec'd, that looks good. Is the trackpad any good?
You know, here's an idea. Why not? I have an
trackpad is
idea. Hold on.
stupendous.
Wait a second.
Right.
Can I talk
They
about
made a
something?
laptop with a really good trackpad.
Can I say
it runs
something?
Chrome. It has a nice screen. And they're like, screw you, Microsoft. This is the future. But like,
Can I say something? Hold on. Can I say something? Can I say something? Super nice design, new hardware design, right? New design language for them, kind of with this boxy look. Super high resolution display, very fast, fast responsive. LTE. I think they messed up on where to put the specs. I think this is the new This is the new Nexus design that Google forgot. They're like, does the LTE go in the Nexus or the $1,300 Chromebook? I can't remember. Oh, the Chromebook. Sorry, $1,400.
yeah, how do they convince Verizon to put LTE in this piece of junk? And not
Yeah, right. How come I can buy this? How come I can buy this off contract and use it on Verizon LTE, but I can't buy a Nexus off contract and use it on Verizon LTE?
So Dieter, do they give
I
any?
want to ask them that question.
Do they give any indication of who this is for? Who's going to buy a $1,300 laptop that only runs Chrome?
I mean, everybody asked him that question over and over again, and the answer is, people who want to live in the cloud. That's their response. People that live in the cloud and want that terabyte of storage.
Yeah, by the way, this is either like the Chromebook. Remember very early on, they're like, you can drop it, you can break it. What if you lose it? It's like, what if you lose your $1,400 Chromebook? You're out a $1,400 Chromebook.
So this is really funny. A few people have tweeted this at me. So it comes with 3 years of 1 terabyte of Google storage and Google Drive, which is great. And I think that would cost you $1,800 if you just like paid for it, right? But that is so arbitrary because you know what that storage actually costs Google? $0. Like it doesn't mean anything. It's like that's how much they priced it. So like they're just tricking you.
Yeah, so by the time my chance to ask questions came around, I had 2 questions because everything else had already been asked. The first one was, are they making a profit on it? They say yes, they are. And the second one is,
they need it.
Yeah, where are they making it? They're making it in Taiwan. It's not a U.S.-made device like the Nexus Q or whatever.
I mean, look, you know what Chrome can do for you? It can integrate you into Google services, and it can browse the web, which has tons of Google ads on it. Why do they need to make a profit on this product?
Well, forget about that. The better question is not about whether they're making a profit or not. The better question is, who is this for? Like how? I mean, yes, they say it's for whatever, but let's talk about what's going on in the competitive landscape. Okay, for $1,000, I can buy a MacBook Air, which is it's what I'm using now. Is that for the 13 inches, $999?
No, it's the 11.
That's the 11 inch. Okay, well I have a 13 inch, but okay, for the same price.
$12.99 for the 13.
No, I think it's $11.99 for the 13.
Oh, is it really?
What is it? Can somebody tell me? If only we had a staff of people who knew about technology. I bet Sean knows. Ask Sean, Dieter.
Sean actually is right behind us.
No, I know he's taking pictures
right now.
Are those fingerless gloves?
$11.99.
They are. Yes.
It's $11.99.
$11.99. For $1,200, I can have a completely capable, fully realized Mac laptop. Okay? The screen isn't a touchscreen. It's not high resolution, but it does about, I'd say, roughly 1,000,000 times more things than what a Chromebook does. Like, look, I've tried to use a Chromebook as my main computer, and it's just like kind of doesn't cut the mustard. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff it's missing.
So the people on our staff who use Chromebooks are Adrian and Chris Sigler. And both of them are like, oh, I love it. I'm like, why do you love it? And they're both like, because it can't do anything else. Yeah. They're like, I use it when I have to do work because I work in Google Docs and like all it can do is type. And I'm like, that's not a good reason.
So, Dieter, this is what, $14.99 right now? Or $13.99?
It's $12.99 for the Wi-Fi only model.
Right. Or you can pay $200 more and get the Retina MacBook Pro with the same specs.
Right.
Which is also bonkers. Like, so what? Here's an idea: just run full screen Chrome on a MacBook, and you'll have exactly the same experience that you would have with this thing. I mean, I like the Chromebook idea. They just need to do a few things to make it more like an actual computer. Here's the things I don't have a problem with. Don't have a problem with using Gmail in a instance, right? Don't have a problem with browsing in an instance. Don't have a problem if you have a good IRC client. There now seems to be one that you can use in a browser. Don't have a problem with that. But there's a bunch of stuff missing, like ground notifications or notifications of any type. You don't get anything like that. There's nothing that plugs into the core services of of Chrome as an OS, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like you're missing all of this extra stuff, all of these things that I do. Like I use Fantastical, which is like, you know, a menu bar item that I can quickly access my calendar. You know, it automatically backs up my stuff to Dropbox. You know, I have Google Drive and Dropbox set up. That's not something you can really do. It's like, yeah, you can go get your stuff, but you really can't. You really can't access it like you would in a normal file system. So it's like basically it's still very much that browser experience. For $1,300 or $1,400, I just feel like you're really pushing your luck on how much I'll accept I'm not going to be able to run powerful 3D games. Like I could actually game on my computer if I wanted to. They won't look that great, but there's the option. Right. You know, so Angry Birds is whatever. I can play that on any tablet in the world.
I think that Google is maybe hoping that they've got a chicken and egg problem with Chrome OS. They need real stuff developed for it, and they might have the hooks and APIs necessary to make that happen. But they don't have, you know, widespread adoption, especially with people using it as their main machine. And so I think they're like, who is this for? I think it's for like developers to use Chrome OS so that they can move the state of the art forward on it, so that it actually does become a viable competitor to other operating systems. I think that's you know what they're hoping.
I thought they
where
honestly.
Are those developers located? Are they located within Google? Like, why are they selling this thing? I don't understand. Why, if that's the case, why aren't they seeding this thing for free to everyone?
Here's what I don't understand. Why didn't they just take the Nexus 10? What's the resolution of the screen of the Nexus 10?
2560 by like 6.
It's super high, super high.
Same, yeah.
Just take that screen, blow it up a little bit, and give me some option to be able to run like Android apps and Chrome on the same thing.
No, if this thing ran Android in like even an environment, so like it was Chrome OS, but then there was Android next to it, it would change my entire conception.
No, right. I mean, just something. Just give me something here. You know, give me the Android notification system in Chrome OS. You know, let me plug in like, okay, here's my phone number and my, you know, here's my Google Voice account or something like where Google Voice wouldn't be enough. But let me plug in, you know, all my accounts are that I'm already signing in with in some way. You can't even do multiple account stuff in Chrome OS yet, right?
You can log out of your account and log into somebody else's account. And
no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying on my Android device, if I have 6 Gmail accounts, I can log in with all of them and I get notifications for all of them and they're all in my same inbox. You know what I mean? Like there's not a unified inbox, but all that stuff is connected. If somebody messages me on GChat on one of my other accounts, you know, it shows up on my phone. It's all this like what's kind of great about Android phones is that it collects all of your stuff into one place, whereas you can't even do anything that basic on a Chromebook. So it's like, just give me some of the Android functionality. Just give me some of the ideas behind Android to make this thing better. Right now, it's just you just added the touchscreen and a ton of money.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it would be great if the Chrome OS team and the Android team like hung out and had lunch more often.
Did a hangout.
Tried to put those things together. Yeah.
If they actually got into a Google.
I mean, do they have any answers beyond for people who want to live in the cloud?
People want to live in the cloud, man.
That's the same answer for people who have the other Chromebook.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, okay, I want to live in the cloud, but I'm going to spend like $1,000 less. Is that cool?
What a complete. I mean, this is a fail. Can I just say it? Like, this will go down, and like, I guarantee you.
You know, it's funny.
Everybody at Microsoft laughed Google today.
Yeah.
Everybody at HP and Dell.
Apple's on the floor. People at Apple are on the floor.
Dying. Apple, they have the day off. Apple employees got the rest of the day off, so
to laugh,
to deal with their laughter. Yeah, because they're not productive today.
No, in all seriousness, I was talking to Michael about this yesterday, and we were talking about the price. Can you hear me okay? Did my mic just go out?
You're good.
Working?
We're good.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, oh my God. It's very sexy.
So we were talking. He's like, "What do you think if there's going to be a Chromebook, this Chromebook Pixel we saw this video for? Do you think it'll be really expensive?" I was like, "Man, there's no way. You know, the whole thing about Chromebook has been like it's super affordable. You know, even at the top end of Chromebook, it was like $500, $400, $500. You know, and I was like, no, they're gonna. I was like, if this thing's any more than like $600, $700 at the highest end, like that's how they're going to kill it. They're going to be like super high resolution touchscreen, and it's $600. I could not believe this price when I saw it today. I was like, how is this in any way like an advantage now? Like all of this stuff being the same, if you said and it's less than 1,000, less than 800, you would start to be interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to use this thing, but like,
well, obviously.
Well, and I'm excited to use it. It'll be fun to play with, but there's no like single feature that makes me go, "Oh yes, that makes it worth it. If it had come out, the main thing for me that what would make sense for me is if this thing had like legitimate 10, 12 hours of battery life.
Right.
If this thing legitimately lasted that long, I'd be like, oh, well, this kind of makes sense. But it's just, it's just like a laptop, only you can't use laptop stuff.
Any one single thing that was better than anything else.
So we just got this tweet from
I just saw this.
Ovo871.
I just saw
not
this
a
tweet.
Fail. They're targeting the creative class: video editors, photographers, and developers.
Yeah,
Video
wrong.
editor.
What are you talking about?
There are no video editors or professional photographers who would touch a Chromebook with a 10-foot pole.
Look, Sean is in the background. Do you see him taking photos and like processing with other Chromebook pixels?
Speaking of photography,
he's using his MacBook.
Did you guys hear about this creepy feature? You plug in an SD card, and it will automatically import all your photos, so that's cool. And then it will automatically upload them to Google+. They're private. Okay, I guess that's cool. But then you can go to Google Plus to like the event you just uploaded, and they go through and they analyze your photos and they check off the ones they think are good, and they give you an option to automatically just share all of those.
By the way, we got a really amazing. Hold on, I want to put this tweet. Can I put this in our chat? I don't know if there's a way to get this image up on screen here, but we just got an amazing.
Yeah, I saw this one too.
Tweet from somebody who's listening.
You got it too, Dieter. It was addressed to you. And
To you. Can we get this image on screen? I don't know how. Like, there should be a way in Hangouts to do this.
There's
really
a screen
easily.
share option, but I end up sharing my entire screen.
No. Hold on a second. Let's try something here.
I could pick up my webcam and point at it.
Chill out. I'm trying the Hangout toolbox. No, lower third.
Just put it as your lower third.
That's hold on. Custom overlay. Here we go. Hold on.
This is going to be ridiculous.
This is going to end in
Ridiculously awesome.
Let's see
Hold on.
Pirate Josh for the monocle.
Wait a second. I gotta drag this to my desktop.
Which you can't do, by the way, in Chrome OS. So we've already gone beyond.
Well, there is though.
Just this much effort.
Here we go. That work? There it is.
That's pretty grainy. Oh, there it is.
It's weird to
See, there's some new members of our Hangout. Yeah, it's like a Hangout in a Hangout. Let me just take a look.
Look, it's Schmidt's dream, man. This is it. This is a final realization of
I love the
Schmidt's
expressions.
dream.
The expressions are so perfect for our topic of conversation.
I look stoned.
Yeah. Well, are you stoned?
I mean, maybe. It's a Thursday.
Well, there you have it. Okay, so what else is there to say about the Chromebook Pixel?
It's a fail. Here's my question. Let me
No,
ask
it's
you,
not a fail, Neela. It's for the
Total
creative
fail.
class.
Let me ask you a
Fair
question.
two of laptops. Come on.
Let me ask you a question. So we've now seen both Google and Microsoft proceed with their like hardware vanity projects, right?
Right.
What would you rather have, a Chromebook Pixel or a Surface RT?
Wait, a Surface RT or Surface Pro?
A Surface RT.
Wow.
Yeah, but price-wise, the
I'm
competition.
not.
is
You
Surface Pro.
get to pick one. Surface RT or a Chromebook Pixel.
That's a hard one.
I'm gonna say
Probably the RT.
I'm gonna say the RT as well.
Yeah, I think it's an RT
There
for
is
me.
the RT has some. Okay, I can run. Do they have Chrome for RT? Yeah.
No.
Actually, hold on.
No, you have to use IE10 for ARM
And Bing.
and Bing. It's tough, right? It's like not an easy question.
starting
You
to
can always sell the
reconsider.
Chromebook for more.
Starting to reconsider.
You can always break the Chromebook down into parts.
I mean, here's the thing. Hold on. Here's the thing. Honestly, actually, what I'd want to do with the Surface, I mean, it's like I can't really use it because again, ergonomically, it stinks. You know what? Chromebook Pixel. That'd be my choice.
If it was,
Wow.
if Surface Pro
I don't
was
care.
not
I don't need a
Surface Pro.
laptop to play Angry Birds
Right.
or to run Outlook. I need a laptop to do like work.
Right.
And if I can't put it on my lap and type comfortably, or put it on a desk and type comfortably, that's like get out of my face. And I know I can't with the Surface. I mean, that's my biggest gripe about the RT. You know, besides its lack of any kind of viable ecosystem at the moment.
Yeah, and its slowness.
And it's house, but whatever. I mean, if it was just, it felt like a good, nice, comfortable laptop to use, I'd be like, yeah, let's do this. So I have to say, I think I'd go for the Pixel.
right,
Also,
Dieter?
like the brag factor of the Pixel is just outrageous. It's like buying some hideously ugly old car and putting like some sort of weird Porsche engine in it.
Yeah, I think it looks like an HP Elite book from like '98. Dieter, which one would you
The
pick?
90s are back, don't you know that?
It's really unfortunate. Dieter?
I would struggle over this decision. I'm struggling right now. It's fast. The Pixel's super fast.
Yeah.
But for me, this is not going to replace a laptop for me, a real laptop. And that Google's probably gnashing their teeth at me saying it's not a real laptop. But there you go.
It's not a laptop. It's a Chromebook.
Yeah. So if I'm going to have a secondary device, I want it to have a ridiculously long battery life. And the WinRT, it's a little bit slower, but it has a longer battery life.
Battery life is better, I gotta say.
Wait, what's the battery life on the Pixel?
It's like 5 to 6 hours.
They say it's over 5 hours, and so realistically, that probably means 5 hours.
I'm sorry. Can I just say I'd rather have an iPad at this point?
No, it's not, you don't get to pick. That's not a choice.
Okay, but it's like $500. It's $500, and it does more than both of those combined.
Yeah. So actually, here's a good question. I can run Chrome on my Retina display iPad. Which has pretty much the same pixel density. Right?
Syncs, it syncs your stuff.
264, like does a bunch of stuff. What is their answer for why you shouldn't just get a Retina iPad?
Well, Chrome is slower on the iPad because it doesn't get the fancy JavaScript engine and it can't run Chrome apps.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because Safari is ridiculously fast on the iPad.
And there's like I can run Tractor DJ on my iPad.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, I got a Mass Effect game I can play on my iPad. Do they have a Mass Effect game?
There is a huge silent majority of people who desperately want to give all of their data, all of their information, all of Google.
Yeah, right? It's everyone on the internet.
They have my data. The data's not the issue. Do whatever you want. Take my data, please. But just give me something that's really good to do with it. Like, give me a place that I can really utilize my data.
You can get deep into Google Plus, man. G+.
I mean, look, I honestly, I would a Chromebook would be more useful from a business perspective to me than an iPad. Okay, like if I had to take one, if they're like, you're going on a trip, you got to write, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. You can have a Chromebook or an iPad. I would take the Chromebook because an iPad won't be as useful to me. But I think that that's not the debate anybody's. Well, the debate people are having is, well, whatever. They're like, should I get this or a real laptop?
Right. Because
this isn't. I mean, it doesn't do all of the things my laptop can do. It does a lot of them. Not as well, which is like thanks for nothing.
Yeah, maybe Google just didn't want to compete with the Chromebook partners. Maybe they're like, we've got to not do what Samsung and does Lenovo make one? We've got to not do what everybody else.
They're not going to compete by not making a product people want to buy.
I mean, that's how you don't. That's how you fail to compete, right? I don't know. Like, maybe they're like Samsung has everything from because Samsung makes what a $300 Chromebook, right?
Right. Yes. Google's like, and it's good. The $300 Chromebook is actually really good.
So maybe Google's just like, we can't make a $500 Chromebook.
I mean, Samsung's Chromebook is actually probably the third most excellent laptop in my house right now, behind this is going to sound crazy, behind my MacBook Air and the Dell XPS 13 with the 1080 display running Ubuntu.
So here's the bottom line on the Chromebook for you. The old joke that we used to make when we were reviewing Windows laptops is for $100 more you can get a MacBook Air. With the Chromebook, for $100 less you can get a MacBook Air.
Which is bonkers. Like and I get it, high resolution, but
was Joanna at the event? Did her head just explode?
Wait, was she going to for this?
Is she there?
No,
was she there?
She was. I saw she was traveling last night, so I don't know where she is today.
Okay, but I mean, this is just wrong.
Well, I mean, somewhere she's looking into a mirror, deeply into a mirror.
Her head's exploded somewhere. Yeah. All right. So we never. Hold on. I feel like we should get back. We never finished our PS4 conversation.
Right. Well, we also only have 10 minutes. We got to talk about a couple other things too. We have the HTC One.
Yeah.
Look, everything is a fail. Can I just wrap this?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Launched a fail with the HTC One. Sony began the beginnings of a long fail process with the PS4, and this Chromebook is like it's like a comedy fail. It's like it's literally like Google's like playing jokes on people.
I think here's the things that so I don't think the PS4 is a fail at all. By the way, can I just say that they didn't show hardware, but I think that in no way suggests that this is a failure for them. I think that what it comes down to is how great is it when it's actually available? If Microsoft releases something, they're going to show. I mean, maybe they'll show something like the Illuma Room, which is just a mind-bending thing. And if they do that, then Sony's going to have to answer, why aren't you creating this immersive environment that's as different and weird as what Sony's doing? And okay, that's going to be a problem for Sony. That doesn't mean that Sony can't capture the market that it's after, and it clearly is after a hardcore gaming market here. The question is, when it comes time to make a decision here, what's their price? What's their content offering look like? How do their graphics stack up next to the other guy? And are they actually introducing any really truly innovative and useful and fun gaming experiences, or is it same old, same old? I don't think they have anything is precluding them from offering great stuff. I think that this is I think the way they did their announcement was bizarre. I think that they left a lot of people disappointed by not showing hardware. If I were Sony, I would have showed a version of it, a render of it, whatever.
It's not even ready. So
but they must have some idea of what the hardware. If let's say it's the end of February, beginning of March, right now, okay, we're in the week range here.
And they say it's going to be holiday 2020.
That means November at the latest. Yeah. There's no possibility they're doing this earlier than November or later than for Christmas shopping. So we're talking like Black Friday, right? So November 20, whatever the date is going to be. So if you only have a handful of months, you don't know what your industrial design is going to look like. You already designed the controller. You don't have a pretty far along version of what your hardware will actually look like. They could have shown an empty box. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters, I think, is to say, like, here it is. It's real. It's going to go into your living room underneath your TV or whatever. I think that's not a big deal. I think it's a minor thing, but it's a little bizarre. I mean, we have a quote that they gave to All Things D. Jack Tretton gave to All Things D today that said, "We don't have final specs or design." That to me is more worrying than the idea that they didn't show a box last night.
And my favorite thing at CES was Sony had a 4K player that was fake. It was an aluminum circle with a light, and then behind it, like hidden behind the screen, was a Dell PC that was actually playing the content.
Yeah, it's a massive server farm.
So I was saying last night we like snuck backstage to find the controller because we were looking for it, and like Sony had like NASA back there. There was like an army of people like running all this stuff.
Yeah,
and it was like, okay, like I get it, it's not ready and they're demos, but the reason I just don't think they didn't say anything beyond this will play video games. Right. They didn't say anything beyond this will play video games on your Vita, which is, by the way, the Vita's a fail, right? Where's the piece where you get to play all the games on your Sony phone?
Vita's a little more interesting. The Vita's a little more interesting now that I know I can play PlayStation 4 games.
You know what's even more interesting? Being able to play those things on Sony's Android tablets, which are far more useful than the Vita.
That's not going to happen, though.
Yeah, you can't do that. But you can't do that without the controller. I mean, once you lose the controller, you're in a whole nother. But let's just say this. I think so we can put a cap on some of these conversations because we have other fails to talk about. The Sony announcement was not 100% a fail, but I have like major concerns about their readiness to release a new console, and whether or not that console can provide a truly dramatically different experience. So Chromebook Pixel, not a fail if it was $700, $600, not a fail if it undercut the competition that it was the people it was competing against, which is PC, laptops, the Surface, and MacBook Air. And it doesn't undercut any of those guys in any way. It doesn't offer anything they're not offering for less. And it doesn't say, like, you've got to have it, even though it's a little bit more because it's got this crazy new feature. There's nothing there. I don't understand it. That one's just confusing to me. What's the other fail? Let's talk about HTC. Did you think this was a fail? Why do you think that?
Because I don't need Flipboard on a home screen of my phone.
Hold on, Peter played with this device.
Yeah, we should talk to Data.
Okay, let's talk about the HTC One. This is their new flagship phone.
I mean, 4.7 overview here.
4.7 inch 1080p, super fast Android device with the big deal about it though is they have a brand new skin called Sense 5, which completely has.
And the other big deal is the camera.
Right. The camera,
ultra pixel camera.
Ultra pixel camera. The idea is
everybody's got to name stuff now.
Yeah. Instead of going to a standard 8 megapixel sensor, it's technically a 4 megapixel sensor, but the pixels are bigger, so they can take in more light. It's less. They can do more interesting stuff because they don't have to spend as much time processing out noise. I'm actually pretty excited for the camera. I think that as long as people don't get freaked out that it's only 4 megapixels, I think it's going to be.
So I'm not worried. I think what they're doing with that is great. Actually, it's funny because Nikon last night released the new version of the camera I have. I have the D7000. They released the D7100, and it's funny because instead of giving it more low light performance, they increased the megapixel count, and I was disappointed. Right? Like, I get it. I think that's really important on a phone camera that you can take pictures in the dark with it. I think that will become like the most important camera spec of all over time.
Just being able to take pictures in any situation, I think, is
right.
So I'm gonna get totally flamed for this, but I used the camera for about 5 minutes in a low light situation, and I was taking I would take pictures in low light like a regular human, not like I know what I'm doing with cameras. And I'm gonna say that it in that short time, it seemed to do a slightly better job than the Lumia 920.
That's
well,
good.
that's it. I hope it's great knowing you. Can Lisa tell us where the funeral will be held? I'm sorry that it had to end this way, but I love
you.
I love you, man, and it's tough to see you go. But you're definitely getting.
You were only looking. You were only looking on the screen, right?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So here's the thing:
it's like ridiculously bright.
But when's the last time you looked at a high megapixel photo?
Like no, that's what I think. I think 4
never.
megapixels.
Like you're never going to do it.
Like when I see
when you see it on the pixel, it's going to be upsetting.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But when I see a phone that has like a 13 megapixel camera, I just know it's going to be terrible. It's always bad. But we got to talk about Blink Feed. So the new skin, basically it's Flipboard on your home screen. You can check a box to have it be off to the left instead of it being your main home screen.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Can I say this thing about Blink Feed and then point out to Josh's point, one of HTC's big lines from this entire event with the One was, we're not marketing ourselves correctly. Like, nobody knows who we are. We need to be more out there with the brand and what we provide consumers. Right. And the way they're doing that is by giving everything a stupid name. Like, it's like they don't know how to actually do it.
Yeah.
No, but so like HTC Blink Feed is the new home screen in this Flipboard. The speakers are referred to as HTC Boom Sound. Intercapped.
That's not good.
Boom
That's
sound.
like terrible. Also, they have a partnership with Beats, so it's like HTC Boom Sound with Beats, which is terrible. They have like a Vine kind of app called HTC Zoe, which like is basically burst mode.
Zoe is the worst.
No, Zoe's actually cool.
By the way. No,
right, but it's basically a
cool.
burst mode for the camera, right?
No,
like
it combines a burst mode with video that you record at the same time, and it encodes both at the same time. And so you can take any video and pull out a still from it, and it doesn't look like a still from a video. It's actually a full picture.
But at the end of the day, I understand. But I understand. Okay, for the separate features aside, I understand the need for naming a product. I mean, you want people to know. That your camera is different.
Boom Sound with Beats audio.
Okay, Boom Sound is really bad. I won't deny it. Boom Sound is.
HTC, let me ask you this. We just told you what HTC Zoe is. What is HTC Zoe?
Yeah, what is it?
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
First,
come on, they're not
short for Zoetrope.
They're not like doing. Yeah, it's short for Zoetrope. Like,
but the better
they're not
question
doing
is,
this correctly.
But the better question is what? This is the thing that I think we need to start. The question that needs to be answered. What do consumers want? I mean, why is Samsung succeeding with Android and other companies are failing? What are they doing? What are they giving them?
They made it look like the iPhone, and they were on Verizon. I mean,
and they're airing commercials.
I don't think that's it. Yeah, I think it's
really?
But I think that first part, right? That first click when it was Samsung written. I don't think they're copying Apple as much anymore, but I think for a minute they really did. They were on Verizon when the iPhone wasn't on Verizon, and they were that alternative to the iPhone and Verizon.
Yeah, I
think that was a really big deal.
But so was Motorola. I mean, I feel like in some way Motorola was first.
But they didn't want the Droid, right? The Droid was marketed against.
But I feel like, and also in some way, like this whole Apple versus Samsung thing has kind of.
I think it's helped.
For people who already are predisposed to not like Apple or think that they don't like Apple for some reason, they're like, oh, I finally have a company that can champion, my side of things. I finally have a Microsoft in phones, even though Microsoft has phones.
Right. But Neil's point's accurate. Like when it was like Motorola versus Samsung, Motorola was the guy's phone. Like it was the balls to the wall, guns out. Like we're talking.
Droid commercials still. Have you seen the new Droid Razr Max commercial?
Terrible.
Where it's like, what would you do with 32 hours of battery life? And it just zooms in on people looking tough. And they don't actually ever say what they're going to do.
That's the thing. They're just, imagine. You can't imagine it.
Like, it's like, what? This doesn't
you can't even show it because nobody can think of such.
It's like I'm going to wait here until I die. Like it doesn't. I don't know. Like,
but I think that okay, fine. But I think that you have to start asking the questions. These companies need to start asking the questions. What do consumers actually want? And why isn't it working for us? There are real questions to be answered.
Yeah, but so HTC.
So here's the thing that
Blink Feed.
Go ahead, Dieter.
Deal with Blink Feed. That's a strategy question that you're asking, Josh, and HTC is answering it with a tactical answer. So the way to think of Blink Feed is the way that you think of the gigantic flip clock that they used to put on Sense. And it's all about the in-store experience. Someone walks into a store, they see this thing on the home screen, they're like, ooh, that looks pretty, I want that. That's what Blink Feed is. It's so that when you walk into the store and play with the phone, there's something cool right there on the phone that the reps can't really screw up because it's built in. Like, it's about selling the phone in store, and if it's actually useful to users later, great. But I personally don't think HTC cares. They're thinking about the in-store buying experience.
But I think that's their problem. I think they have to figure out how to make a phone that's better than the Galaxy S3. Then, aren't we assuming the Galaxy S4 is coming out next month?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that pretty much
March 14th?
We had sources, right? March 14th.
God.
I mean, Samsung is like slowly but surely getting better at the software, right? Like they know that it's their area of weakness. They're putting resources against it. HTC is like. But HTC is like rebooting, right? They're like, let's start over with this Flipboard thing, and that's not what people want.
I mean, I'll say this, but you can do the home screen. Laura has an HTC phone that she really loves. I mean, I can't stand what they do in the interface and Sense. There's a lot of stuff that just bothers me. She really likes it. I see places where, I get it. I know why somebody would like this better, and it just works more like you expect a phone to work.
But she has the One S, right?
Yes.
The mid-range?
But you know why people like that phone? Because it's of a size that is compatible.
It's a normal size. It's a 4-inch phone. It's a normal size.
Vlad's question for Peter Chow, the CEO of HTC, was, why don't you make a small phone? And he was like, I don't know. Like,
it is actually kind of, it is like there's just a point now.
Response.
I just want people to make a reasonable sized phone. I actually think the BlackBerry, the 4.2 inch, is like a pretty good. You're in the range of, like, this is a pretty good size. I remember thinking 4.3 inch is about as big as I ever want a phone to be.
The Z10 right here?
Is that your full-time device? You just have it
I've been
on
playing
hand?
around with it on the flight home.
I just want people to actually think about what consumers really want and need in their lives instead of stuff that you think they want and need. I think that's the problem, is like there's a lot of assumptions. Like Blink Feed. I mean, I don't know what kind of market research they've done, but is Blink Feed the thing that's been missing from everybody's life? I think this live tiles argument, it's like, let's present information better. Like, okay, I'm all for that. Let's present information better, but actually show me a better way to present information before you
right, because
sell
you know
your
what
product.
exists is Flipboard. People really love on
Right.
Android phones is Flipboard. So like, you're like, here's this crappy other Flipboard, and then you're going to want it out of your way. And also just like, what are you actually trying to get at there? Like, is news the thing that here's what I found that's most interesting. And I have two phones now. One is I use full-time iPhone and Android. And I have found increasingly annoyed with the hunting and the weird interface discrepancies on the iPhone, right? And on Android, what I've noticed is that I'm less and less interacting with icons and lists, and I'm interacting with my notifications. I'm interacting with when I unlock the phone. First off, I see what do I have, right? My notification light actually tells me what I have before I unlock it, right? I have different colored notification lights. So then I get information right away without having to think about it. Then I unlock it and I see, okay, emails from here, tweets, whatever other, calendar stuff. That is kind of the way I'm moving through my phone, and then that's leading to other actions, right? That's a branch of action. So it's right.
like,
so we had this somewhere in our forums. I don't remember who it was, and I don't remember when I read it, but somebody in our forums was like, "It's weird because I feel like Android is becoming more and more about an integrated OS, and the iPhone is becoming more and more about apps pulling you in different directions."
Yeah, and which is
like valid, like they're different.
No, and not only that, but the apps themselves have functionality that is completely wildly different. You look at an app like Mailbox, which feels, it doesn't feel like it acts the way other iOS apps act. It has a totally different, like a swipe to delete is actually a swipe a little bit to do something and swipe further to do something else, and it becomes this like, okay, but I'm used to swiping, and then I get the little thing, and now I'm just swiping away, and if I don't do it long enough, it does something else, and it's like, and there's no cohesion there. But not to bash iOS. iOS has a lot of great. Like, I'll say this: if I want to take a picture or browse, there is no better device than the iPhone. There is no better mobile device, in my opinion, for straight up web browsing and straight up photo taking at this point.
Right.
I think that's the
you
best.
You should download Tractor DJ for the iPad today.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it just came out.
Like, I have time to mess with Tractor DJ. You're a hilarious guy.
You should. It's the weekend.
You're cracking me up. Oh, you mean the weekend where I'm traveling to LA to go?
Yeah. What are you gonna do on the plane? Put some music on the plane.
I'm going to write. I have something to write on the plane. So thank you for this great suggestion.
I'm going to DJ all weekend.
Wow.
No, I was just saying, that's like an app that can't exist on Android, but it does on the iPad.
Yeah.
They told they're all about how there's stuff they can do in iOS they can't do in Android.
But I think that right. So, but anyhow, but the point is, I'm increasingly, my experiences and my interactions, and I think this goes for a lot of people, are increasingly cued off of stuff coming into them. It's not like I got to go into this app and do X, Y, and Z. That's a very specialized sort of thing that you're doing. I need to make a list. I need to play a game. I want to listen to music. These are not what you do all day long. It's like talking to people. It's tweeting. It's IM. It's email. It's browsing, right? And those are all like these weird branching experiences where you start one place and they usually lead to something else. And Android has found a way to connect that stuff, I think, better than anybody right now. And it doesn't feel disconnected when you're moving through. iOS totally feels disconnected. But the thing, when I look at the one, I think you know what? If this does all that stuff great, then that's great. If this makes
you're going to hate the one because they took away the multitasking button. Google Now is hidden
It's
behind
fine, but they have a double tap to multitask. That doesn't bother me.
They don't. It's gone, right, Dieter? That's gone.
No,
right?
it's no.
You can double tap the home button.
Double tap, and it's a much better multitasker
Which is
than
what
they
the
had
iPhone
before.
does too. You remember,
Right, so that's
double
fine,
tap.
and I use that all the time, and it's totally fine. It shows you a grid of 9 frozen app states.
So, Dieter,
you hold it down to do Google Now. It's totally fine. Anybody can get used to that. The big question is, does it connect all of my experiences? When I need to branch, will it help me branch better and faster and easier? When I need to share, will it help me share better and faster and easier? And if you can't effectively, and I think Samsung has done a lot of that stuff, and it's one of the reasons people like what they're doing, is that despite how much I hate their interface, they actually have started to connect a lot of those branch experiences together. It's like that thing where they did, it'll find your Facebook friends and photos that you take. It's that kind of stuff where that's actually a real world use. I could see people needing that and wanting that.
All right, so Dieter, we should wrap this up. Here's the last question. You played with the phone. This is make or break for HTC, right? If this phone isn't a success, I don't know that HTC has a lot of shots left.
Yeah, they won't go out of business right away if this phone isn't a success. But I think this is their best shot at coming back, and I think that it's not going to be easy, and I think it's probably not going to work, and I think it's in large part because Verizon said thanks but no thanks to it, so they're only going to be on the other 3 carriers in the U.S.
Wow. Well, Verizon will do. They'll make them do like a Droid,
Some kind of DNA.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's what they have now. Aren't they they're largely similar?
No, they're going to do. They're obviously
they'll do something with the DNA. I mean, they've got the DNA now. I'm sure they'll do some other Droid branded thing, but that doesn't help HTC as a company. It doesn't help them build mind share and brand share, and they need that right now because people think you either get an iPhone or a Galaxy, and HTC needs to just get back in that conversation, and Verizon's not helping them do that.
By the way, somebody sent me. This is Apple's reaction to the.
Oh my God!
With Dave Grohl. Tim Cook invited Dave Grohl over.
Dave and Tim, they're just hanging out.
They're not even kidding either, man. I believe it. Some of that stuff right there. And what's the price? $12.99. Boom. Moments later, passed out on the floor from hysterical laughter.
on that lovely note, we should start wrapping up. So
yeah, we should. We're doing a short one today because I'm in the middle of writing something I'm very excited about. If you are a reader of The Verge, tomorrow I'm going to have something very special that no one else I think will have. And
there'll be awesome video too.
And there'll be awesome video with it, and I'm excited about that. So get ready, and I'll probably tweet some hints tonight or tomorrow. And anyhow, but so I have to get to writing that, and we have some stuff that we got to shoot. It's very exciting. We're moving into our new office. You guys, we're going to do, when we're finally moved in and everything's set up, we're going to do an office tour of our brand new offices. We have a floor and a half in the heart of Manhattan, and we're very excited. I've spent many months working with Lorian, who is our office manager, and so far beyond an office manager, but she's been helping put together this new office, and I've been sort of, choosing paint colors and forcing people to make bizarre design stuff in the kitchen happen. And anyhow, I'm very excited about it. And so we have a big week ahead of us. And then I'm going to be at TED.
You're going to be at TED. We're going to be at Mobile World Congress.
Yeah. Oh, Mobile World Congress is coming up.
Yeah.
TED is happening, which I'll be attending. Probably not filing a bunch of little stories from, but some overall TED stuff. Who knows what's going to happen. Bono and I may decide to film a podcast together. which will probably happen.
I'm
Oh my
reminded
God.
that we forgot to talk about Google Glass.
With Bono.
Oh, Google Glass. Yeah, we should
Yeah,
talk about
they
it.
put some stuff out.
We
This will
finally
cost
saw
$1,500.
We finally saw what Google Glass looks like. I think this is a story that's still developing, and that we're going to hear a lot more about it in the near future.
Yeah, $1,500.
$1,500. Well, for people who are allowed into that program, which is
Right.
For
they're
creative
like-
people.
The creatives.
Well, it's not for creatives. It's for people who go mountain climbing,
Oh, right. The adventurous.
adventures, and normal people who are just doing regular stuff like picking up their kids and want to capture special moments.
The creepsters.
People creep shots.
Yeah.
People who are doing creep shots for a living.
And that's the Vergecast.
Yeah, goodbye.
That's the Vergecast.
Everything is fail, and we're going to look at you when you don't know about it.
That's our incredibly tight hour-long Vergecast, nearly an hour-long Vergecast. We'll be back next week. Are we doing Mobile World Congress? I assume we'll have some people from Mobile World Congress reporting on what's happening.
We
there.
actually will have some Mobile World Congress.
We're setting like most of our team. Yeah.
Basically. So we'll be back next week, obviously, with more Vergecast goodness. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at vergecast@theverge.com. You can leave a comment in the post when it goes up. You can just spark a forum conversation about the Vergecast if you'd like. And, of course, you can find us on Twitter. The Verge is at Verge. I'm Joshua Topolsky. Nilay is Reckless.
And YouTube. We have
Hold
a
on a
nice
second.
YouTube
Let me
channel.
finish. I'm going to get to
Come
that.
on.
Okay.
All right, fine.
Ross is no Roscoe, no E on the end. Dieter is Backlon. He'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
And of course you can subscribe to, and you should subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is YouTube / what is
The
it?
Verge.
The Verge.
The Verge.
Yeah.
How about that? How inventive were we on that one? YouTube / The Verge. You subscribe because 90 Seconds on The Verge comes to you every day. We are increasing the amount of live reporting that we're doing from breaking news events and at breaking news events. And you don't want to miss incredible stuff like the big comparison video we did of the HTC One against all of the competition, which happened just moments after the event ended. So all stuff that you'll want to be subscribing to the channel for. And, just because once in a while we get a delightful video of me playing acoustic guitar and singing you a song.
Is that a request?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Paul will do that, actually. Where is Paul, by the way? Should we be worried about him?
He's fine. We were trying to make this work with the hangout and let him be offline. It didn't quite work out at the end.
No, it's too much news this week for Paul. All right, that's it. We're wrapping up. We'll be back next week, and as always, thank you so much for listening and watching. We really appreciate your dollars and your eyes and the it's no dollars. I don't even know what that means. Like we're doing a fund drive here or something, a charity drive. Look, just call in now. Operators are standing by. And we wish you and your family the very best for this, what will be inevitably an awful weekend for all of you.